Welcome to the Restoration Wellness Virtual Series on the 6 wellness keys that you can activate today to supercharge your self-care, mental wellness, and resiliency plan. I'm Shahidra Kogel, licensed therapist and clinical director at Fundamental Foundations Counseling Center. Thanks for checking out today's video on the first wellness key necessary to restoring your peace, joy, hope, and getting purpose back into your life. Each of us has a story that is unique to our life experiences, especially over the past couple of years. The trials that you've endured and overcome, the pressures that have at times felt overwhelming, the sacrifices that have had high costs, the losses that have brought you to your knees, the tears cried in the middle of the night, even the boundaries that you thought for years were impossible to set and keep. Your story is uniquely yours, and we all have one. Welcome to the club. If you were to tell the real truth, the cumulative toll of everything that you have survived has stretched you to your core. It's stretched your capacity to cope, and at times it's felt chaotic and maybe unmanageable. Loss has been a common thread that we have all weaved through these past 2 to 3 years. Some common losses you may have experienced include loss of change in employment, loss of income, loss of your independence, your freedoms, loss of what you thought things might look like, which is the loss of the future. Many people have gone through separations and divorces, or losses within relationships, even loss of having consistent physical activity, being able to go to the gym. Loss of a social life, and even loss of events and of the ability to celebrate with others. So here's what you need to know. Loss is the antecedent to grief, and we've all experienced some degree of loss during this time. Grief is a natural and normal response to loss. Grief can get messy, but it's something that you need to move through. You don't want to get stuck in it. Some of the common things that happen during a grief process include shock, feeling numb, being in denial, experiencing anger and irritability, and even anxiety. When it's a sudden loss or something you didn't anticipate, there can be this investigative or searching phase for why and how things happened and what your part in it was. Grief can even be disorganizing. It can create loneliness, feelings of isolation, and bring up feelings of guilt and depression. Eventually, you can shift to acceptance. It still hurts, but it lessens the more you move through it. Trauma and grief, although separate processes, can be intertwined. Sometimes people will lump trauma into the grief process and then they can't figure out why they're still stuck. They'll describe trauma symptoms like, I don't want to sleep at night because I'm afraid I'll have a nightmare, or I don't want to go anywhere because I'm triggered to the point of a panic attack every time I step outside my front door. And so they'll verbalize these symptoms and reactions as if they're grief. However, when the loss is sudden, it's unexpected or traumatic, there are certain distinctions to start to recognize the difference and it being more trauma related. Loss, grief, and trauma inherently lead to change and transition. Now hear me. In order for the transition to be healthy, you must acknowledge and deal with the loss, grief, and trauma first. This brings me to our first wellness key, and it lives in the domain of emotional self-care. First, be gentle with yourself. There is no time limit on the grief and loss process. Reading books or listening to audiobooks and even podcasts can be helpful. Even attending a grief share or a support group, along with even journaling, are all helpful ways to normalize and understand that what you are going through is a part of the process and that you're not alone. If you're looking for a creative and spiritual or even emotive way to process, you may think about checking out our Chase group. It's a creative healing arts group that allows you to look at things from a different perspective. Number 2, you need to think about your resiliency plan. Your non-negotiables must remain intact. So you might be asking, what are non-negotiables, Shahidra? Non-negotiables are those things that when they are steady and life is going well, they keep you in balance. So this may be things like your sleep patterns, eating well, making sure that you're exercising consistently, making sure that you're connecting with loved ones and friends. All of these things are necessary to maintain steady and to keep in flow, especially when stress, strife, and even tragedy strike. Without it, it can lead to psychological crises, it can lead to health issues, relational struggles, and so much more. Register for our next Restoration Wellness event. Complete the wellness checkup, and with your registration, you get to meet with one of our therapists who will help you implement a resiliency plan so that this piece is in place. Finally, don't walk this journey alone. Get help, stay connected. Therapy works. I am an advocate of EMDR therapy and EMDR intensives because it takes the sting out of trauma reactivity. It can be used as your own counseling support. It can be used as an adjunct therapy. Just consider it. 5, 10, 20 years is too long to be burdened by a trauma when therapy is available to help eradicate it in a few hours. EMDR intensives are available at our office here at the FFC Center. You can call us at 214-475-0345, or you can go to our website at theffccenter.com to get more information. Thanks for checking out this video, and stay tuned for our next Wellness Key. Have a great day.